There was a segment on Deadline White House that I think we need to take a look at, and pretty much it was giving advice to the president as far as how to win the things that he has to do. I mean, he had all of his people, the people that formerly were on the not the board of directors, but the cabinet for President Trump. They all came out against him. They all said that he's unfit to govern. So the panel was given some advice as far as how those guys need to be used to help convince people that Donald Trump is just not fit for office. And they gave some other advice. But I think there is some important advice that it was missing. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Eddie, weigh in on this part of it because you do have some dynamics that play out there. For example, in his new book, Jim Sciutto at CNN spoke with former Trump officials. And from those conversations, he said former National Security Advisor John Bolton told him that Trump would hold up the tip of his Sharpie pen and say, well, that's Taiwan. See this resolute desk? That's China. His point, Taiwan is too small to defend itself against Chinese invasion and too small for the U.S. to care about. So you have Donald Trump sort of creating this worldview in this kind of imagery. You also then have what both Alexi and Mike are talking about happening domestically in terms of how something like January 6th is playing out with voters out there. There's a lot hanging in the balance here. How do you think we get it back in some semblance of balance?
I've been struggling to figure that one out, Mike. To be honest with you, it seems to me it's not about just simply low information voters. It's about a kind of tribalism. It's about the deep divisions that define the country and how party identification, whether it's Republican Party or MAGA Republicanism, right, kind of gets to core existential issues in some ways. But I do know this. I think it's important for that list of Republicans that you began the segment with, who say that Donald Trump shouldn't come close to the White House. They need to be active in keeping him out of the White House. It's not enough just to say it. They need to follow the Liz Cheney model. I can't believe I just said they need to follow. I never imagined me saying that.
It's a good model. It's a good model.
Liz Cheney model. Yeah, they need to follow the Liz Cheney model. That doesn't just simply involve voting for Joe Biden. It can involve, as Alexi said, split ticket. It could involve leaving the presidential ballot blank because the turnout is actually the key to this election. Can Biden get his base out? Will Trump get more of his supporters out? And if these folk in some ways help suppress the vote, then we can keep him out of the White House. But first, they need to do more than just simply say, keep him out of the White House. They need to act accordingly to that view, it seems to me.
So, Lexi, can they do that? Can the Biden campaign rev itself up to do exactly what Eddie just said? Because I think it's a critical part of this. You've got these where in the history of campaigns? Go all the way back to the beginning, the first presidential 1800, right? Mm-hmm. When have you seen cabinet officials and other officials of an administration come out and go, keep this guy away from the office of the presidency? So can the Biden campaign make that message stick and resonate with those voters we were just talking about?
I think certainly they can. And it's just a matter of how they can thread the needle. Obviously, the Biden campaign is smart enough to know they're not going to put all their chips on the table right now in March or whatever month we're in. They're going to wait until it gets closer to the election to really start going hard against Trump. I would imagine starting from the conventions this summer through November, we will see all of the work that the Biden campaign is doing between now and then to really wrangle those folks, not just as maybe quiet supporters, to rally their other folks, donors that they can talk to who went to Nikki Haley, who are now like, I absolutely don't want to give my money to Trump. I know that the Biden folks will also be reaching out to them. And so it's really, they have a lot of time to do that. I don't think it makes sense to sort of come out now and do that, because then Trump has all this time to bill them as rhinos and totally discredit them.
But he's going to bill them as rhinos anyway, Mike.
Exactly.
I just think that we need to, because I want to put a finer point on it, because Nicole said something very important, I think, that feeds into where I think you're going to go next. Not to tell your answer before you give it, but, she talked about this large group of never Trump Republicans out there and the very important dynamics that are occurring out. These Republicans who voted for Trump in the past, who are now sitting on the fence and could potentially lean and move into supporting or even doing something different. Are there enough of them, number one? And how does the Biden campaign actually move those folks? Is it tapping into that body of folks out there from the administration? What is the strategy here?
Well, I think if you're the Biden campaign, one, I wouldn't wait. I'd treat it like a monster movie. I'd get him now, cut off his head and bury it in another state. Take no chances, full offense. I think you saw a little of that at the State of the Union. It was good. It helped move him forward. It also helps undo the age thing where, oh, look, he can still throw a pretty good haymaker, the old guy. He's got something in him. Helps him do it every day. As far as how to use these things, the key to the election is just like it was last time. Suburban college-educated voters. And they used to all be Republican. Now they're moving over to the Democrats because they're offended by Trump. Simultaneously, Trump does great with the white working class, not college-educated. So you got to offset that a little. So I do that. I'm careful about my dog whistles. This Biden budget, hey, suburbanites who make good money, I'm going to raise your taxes. Big era. They don't want that fight. Gives Trump a cudgel. So you target there. You push back internally on moving too left because you're worried about your young progressives. In the end, they're not for Trump. You're get them back. Don't alienate your suburbanites. And offense, and make it about motive. And they're doing this. I give them credit. Trump is on Trump's side. Biden is on Biden's side. The other thing, Biden ought to run a team effort. Get the cabinet in there. He's got superstars like Raimundo and Buttigieg. Mitch Landrieu, one of the best pure
Put him on the street.
Surround him. The action team. Trump's team looks like a RICO case. Go for the contrast, you know?
Don't wait to take out the monster. You had me there.
Now, for the advice that was missing, number one, leave TikTok alone. Whatever you're going to gain from others, you're going to lose by messing with TikTok. And the person that's going to pay the price for getting rid of TikTok or banning TikTok or selling TikTok, when that changing the algorithm, etc., will be the person who signs the bill, President Biden. Unfortunately, those guys in Congress, meaning both the Congress and the Senate and the president, they are so darn old that they just don't understand technology. And they don't understand that the advice that they're given is corporate-driven advice from our companies in this country to somehow take over a platform that is threatening our own companies. I mean, I know a lot of folks are going to say, well, TikTok and all of that they don't allow Facebook in China. Well, you know what we did? We made the initial mistake and allowed TikTok, a company that's not completely American or whatever, here. But even above and beyond that, TikTok is mostly owned by others anyway. But here's the kicker. There's no data that TikTok can pick up that China cannot buy already. There's also nothing that TikTok can do to manipulate people's minds that Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and all these others are not already doing or cannot be done by people buying ads to do exactly that. So you're opening up a can of worms. There is absolutely nothing, as a technologist myself, there's absolutely nothing within TikTok that banning TikTok will slow down the Chinese government from being able to do. That's not even a statement up for debate. And those darn guys in Congress are so old, taking advice from a whole bunch of charlatanes who are really in this so that they can get the business that otherwise TikTok has. They're going to call. I mean, there's so many pieces that Biden is doing to take a victory to take a defeat out of a victory. Another thing, the Israeli thing. Okay, now they're going to talk about a ceasefire. That's a good thing. That kind of bring back some of our progressives into the fold. But then at the same time, you don't clamp down the pressure as they should on Netanyahu. You have to actively come out and slam Netanyahu, not Israel, Netanyahu, and make sure to get it done. And don't disregard progressives. If you listen to one of the advisors, they pretty much says, those progressives don't have anywhere to go, so they're going to come home. No, they're not going to come home. They're going to stick it to you if they feel you're taking it for granted, because they don't care. A lot of progressives, they're doing just fine. They hate that Trump could win, but they'll survive under Trump. It's the base that will get hurt not these guys. So please, the advice that he got from this panel was pretty good, but there's a lot more. The one that's going to actually win the elections is exactly what I said. Don't mess with TikTok. Make sure that Netanyahu pays a price, and also do not take progressive policies for granted. Do not assume that because you did well by progressives that somehow they're going to stick around if you mess with their morality. Don't.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.